Hello and welcome back to Red UK, where quite simply the Chicago Bulls thing. Wherever you're listening, rate, review, subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe as well. Helps us out and ensures you don't miss another episode. I'm Matt, and as usual, joined by Neill. How are we doing, Neill?
Very good, thank you, Matt. Glad to say that we are no longer the only team or fans of a team in the NBA that has no more basketball to watch.
Yeah, obviously, as you say, the NBA season is over. We're officially into the off-season. The Bulls have been there a lot longer, obviously.
It already feels like an eternity.
Yeah, and obviously that's where we'll start with the finals. We were both rooting for Nuggets from after the Kings went out on it. We started rooting for Nuggets. You had them in 5, I had them in 6.
Yep.
Obviously you got it right. No, obviously we both watched the game 5 back yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think, to be fair, it was the only one I've actually watched the full game. I'd probably pick the worst one to watch as well, judging by what everyone was saying. But no, I mean, obviously, congratulations to Nuggets. Congratulations to Joker for Finals MVP. Who needs regular season MVP? Do you know what I mean?
Proved his point, didn't he?
Yeah, even though he was, wasn't he? Really?
Yeah.
And it's more the narratives after the finals that I wanted to sort of touch on, and people saying that Nuggets didn't beat anybody to win it. You know what I mean? It's, if you look back at the start of the season, who would have had Nuggets to win it at all?
Not enough people. Let's put it that way. Maybe Nuggets fans only, and that'd be about it.
Yeah, and I don't even think half of them would have thought it. And yeah, fair play to Heat getting there as the 8th seed through the play-in, almost going out to Bulls. And you credit them for that, but you've got to credit Nuggets as well.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, they can only beat what's in front of them, and they beat Suns, won it in the final, the West Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Not an easy win, is it? Do you know what I mean?
No, the Suns are an excellent team. Okay, they had injury woes, but they're still a fantastic team. I just lost my light. There we go.
Yeah. Obviously they swept the Lakers and beat, was it Timberwolves in the first round as well?
Mm-hmm.
And it's the finals, isn't it? And the playoffs, as Big Dave says, that's why you get there. Because you just don't know what's going to happen in them. Nobody would have expected Heat to get all the way there. You know what I mean? So I think certain people's narratives, they just want to try and take away from a certain team's success. And at the end of the day, they've gone through the normal season, the top of the Western Conference. They were near the top of the league standings as well, weren't they? Overall league.
Yeah.
I don't know if that finished up. So to me, they deserve it.
Oh yeah,
You
100% deserved it. Yeah.
And I think obviously, Joker deserves his Finals MVP as well.
He's just a force to be reckoned with, isn't he?
Yeah, and to me, yeah, all right. He's not particularly carried Nuggets, but without him, they wouldn't have got there either. Do you know what I mean?
But no, but I think the 1-2 punch of himself and Murray has been very impressive. Now, I suppose I wasn't watching the Nuggets that much throughout the course of the regular season, but in the postseason, I paid him a bit of attention, particularly in the finals. I watched 3 of the 5 finals from start to finish, and the two of them together. I mean, Murray's been playing like an all-star in the postseason, and then you've got Joker as well, and they were just seriously impressive together. And then you had the role players around them that came up trumps on the day as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. It was like the role play, like Aaron Gordon. From everything I've read about him and heard about him not just in the finals, but in the whole playoffs, he was massive on defense for them.
Yeah,
and he can get you a bucket as well,
right?
Whether it's a 3 or a slam. You know what I mean? So
In fact, he actually made a very important defensive play just before the end of the game. The
Was that
final
the one
match.
where he blocked it with his armpit?
Yeah, that's the one. Whatever it takes, right? Any
Exactly.
legal body part.
Yeah. Unlike the foul that got called on Jimmy.
Yes, I was
Yeah.
full sure that was going to get overturned, and it just didn't. I mean, I don't see how that was Aaron Gordon's foul. To be fair, it looked more like it should have been a foul against Jimmy, the way he stuck his leg towards his crotch. To be honest, but
That's where he's better than Zach in it, because Zach got called for one in the season.
yeah.
For all you Jimmy stands out there, Zach haters. So yeah, Heat. Yeah, credit them for what they've done. You know, it's been good. It's not been good to watch because I can't stand Heat. And the sort of what I wanted to touch on with them is it's more Bulls Nation reaction, because you go on Twitter and there's some fans calling other fans out because they were happy to see Jimmy lose. Do you know what I mean? And it's anyone who listens to this regularly knows my feelings on Jimmy Butler, and I wouldn't say I was happy to see him lose because I don't hate him that much. Do you know what I mean? But I can't root. Yeah, I can't root for Miami either. You know what I mean? And he's on Miami,
Right.
you know, and it's the narrative around him. That's the bit that I can't stand, because, all right, yeah, he had a very good first round against the Bucks, and then he's dwindled and dwindled and dwindled.
Yeah.
And when it matters, he wasn't there. And the game I watched last night or yesterday, you know, yeah, he'll get praise because he put up 20 odd points, but the majority of them was in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You know,
Which he's kind of known for, but when it comes to the NBA finals and it's do or die, win or go home, you'd expect him to show up from the first quarter and not the final quarter of the game.
yeah, and it's like we've said about Demar in the past.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to see him in the fourth quarter. You
No.
want to see him do everything in the first three quarters,
Right.
because then you're not in a position where you are chasing the game. And obviously, he had that turnover at the end, the three that he didn't need to take because there was still plenty of time. And if that was Zach, people would be saying,
Oh, he'd be taken to the nearest tree and thrown a rope around his neck and then pulled tight, wouldn't he?
yeah, exactly. So, and look, I get it. Bulls fans, they love him from his time as a Bull.
Yeah.
But he left 6 years ago. And all right, yeah, in that 6 years, he's got to, was it two finals and another Eastern Conference final as well?
Mm-hmm.
But, and yeah, Bulls have obviously made the playoffs once and got a gentleman sweep. So I get it where the people are saying,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Look, he's not a Bull anymore. And I get it, root for him because he's an ex-Bull, but don't start calling people out when they're not particularly gloating. And obviously, we saw Peck from CHGO reveling in it.
Yeah.
And I listened to today's episode, and the way that Will Gottlieb was defending Jimmy, it was just like, I get it. He's one of your favourite players. But as Peck and Big Dave say, praise him when he does it, but criticise him when he doesn't.
Right.
And that's the bit that the NBA media and the majority of Bulls Nation don't seem to do. They won't criticise him when he hasn't turned up.
Yeah.
And like I said, the reason I don't like him in particular is because he's not turned up to the playoffs. And then he's only turned up in the first round this year as well. So, if
what about, like you say, the narrative of playoff Jimmy? No,
well, he wasn't there, was it? First round Jimmy this year, isn't
it? Well, yeah, like you say, I think he was there, but as it went on, it just proved that it's too much for one man, and You know, he might not be Himmy, as people like to call him, but he's kind of almost Himmy, but not quite. And I
He's
suppose if you put maybe a bit more around him than what he has already, they could potentially go all the way. I mean, if they can get this far with very little, maybe they're only one or two moves away from knocking Denver off the top spot next year. But as for this year, he just didn't do enough. And
yeah,
when you're carrying that much expectation and it's all on you, you have to show up. And he just didn't show up enough, plain and simple.
yeah, and that's it. Every player needs players around him.
Yeah,
You know, like we said, Jokic, he needed Murray. He needed players like Gordon.
yeah,
All the way back, MJ needed Pippen.
yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? So it's
Not according to
he's
Pippen.
never going to do it himself. Well, yeah. It's like I said in the chat a few times, he won't win because the supporting cast that he's got turn up when they feel like it.
Yeah,
And, you know, if Max Strus in it in his threes, which he didn't do, then Heat don't win.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it was that's not a knock on Jimmy, but it's a knock on Heat. And I guess it's something that obviously my next question to you is what do you learn from both of these teams? And I think for me, from Heat, you learn you need 3 point shooters, consistent 3 point shooters.
Yeah.
Bulls already know that though. And I think you know the the Heat are always going to be there or thereabouts
Yeah,
because they've just got that ingrained into
and they have a great
them.
coach.
Yeah, uh, dare I say it?
Go on, say it.
Continuity,
Huh? What'd you say?
continuity.
Oh, stop. I thought we said no swearing tonight.
I know, but you know that's what it is, isn't it? It's been that continuity from the top, and yeah, I guess it helps having the right people in place to have continuity. But you know, I mean, what do you think you learn from Heat?
I think you learn that the right role players are vital. But I also think that you learn from that you need to build around more than one guy.
Yeah,
And I think that was something we tried to do in the past with Zach, and it didn't quite work. So then they lumped in the three, and that's not quite working either. But I think that two big stars or big names, all-star level players or better, is enough to get it done with the right role players around him. And I think that's what we've learned. That's kind of answering both questions, but I think that's what we've learned from the Heat and from Denver, because you see both sides of that coin.
yeah. Well, like you say, you've covered what you learned from Nuggets, and
Yeah.
obviously I put a piece out this morning, the weekly bulletin on Series UK.com, and obviously congratulated Nuggets and asked the question, "What did you learn?" And my answer in it was patience,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been patient with players like Murray after his ACL injury. They say they've been patient with Jokic. You know, they picked him up at what was it 41?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know he was going to be the player he is at picking him up there.
No.
And I mean, what's Mike Malone been there now? About 8 years, something like that as
Mm-hmm.
well. So they've been patient with him. And it's more so I don't think Bulls management need to learn that. I think it's Bulls fans need to learn that. And I mean, yeah, all right, I get it. We've been patient now for 25 years. But when you look at it, AK's only been in charge 3 years.
Right.
And that first year was an evaluation year. The last 2 years, he's put together the team that he thought was going to get us to that next level. And he probably would have done had Lonzo not got the injury.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not on AK. He didn't know that injury was coming. You know that it's a risk with a player like Lonzo, but nobody thought it was going to be a potential career-ending injury.
Yeah.
So I'd say I think maybe it's something we talk about next week or something like that. But yeah, I've shown frustration with AK because of the inactivity at the last three deadline or two deadlines and off season. But there's obviously a reason behind it, and I think it is patience.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've got anything else on the finals.
No, except for as a neutral, they were very enjoyable. It gave you someone to root for because you hated the other team so badly, and I thought it was a real good matchup. It went back and forth, but yet you kind of always knew that the Nuggets had the edge. But it's been as a neutral from start to finish. It's been quite an enjoyable playoffs to follow, and I look forward to seeing what not just what the Bulls do, but what every team does during the off season across the league, and how that opens up doors or closes doors for ourselves.
Yeah, and obviously moving on from the finals in terms of obviously Bulls and general NBA, probably starts getting a little bit more exciting now, doesn't it?
Mm,
Sort of next week and for the next 2, 3 weeks after it.
yeah,
We've obviously got the draft next week, which might not be exciting for Bulls fans, but may
something
turn
might
out
happen.
something. And then what, a week after that, or a few days after that, free agency opens, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Potentially getting obviously Vucevic news, Kobe White news. So we might have something to talk about from next week, I guess.
it might.
Uh, as I said, I've put that piece out this morning, the weekly bulletin, and something that I did put in there was Alex Caruso, who is actually on my t-shirt.
Show.
He obviously over the weekend put onto his Instagram about his well, he got the trophy for his um defensive first team thing. You know, obviously proud moment for him. Put it on his Instagram, and it is one of the many players that we've seen working out as
Mhm.
well. And the big thing that he has, as he does seems to do every year, is he's working on his shot. Yeah. So
Please do.
obviously, he shared the post about his trophy, um, and shared one of the workout videos with the question of what role do you think is best for Caruso? Um, the general answer seemed to be as long as he's healthy, that's all people want.
Yeah,
And you're not really going to get that with Caruso, are you, the way he plays? He's going to miss games because he picks up his back injuries, his sort of sprains and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, I kind of agree. That's what you want to see. And I find him a bit of an awkward player to give a role to because you can pretty much do everything
yeah,
defensively. Anyway,
yeah.
you know,
I mean, he can guard 1 through 4 defensively.
yeah. Um, but the one thing I will say is I don't want to see him at the four.
No, 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 no.
Um,
I didn't like that.
no. And as I said before, I don't particularly like seeing him in the starting lineup either
Mm,
because I think he is better as that sixth man where he can. Obviously, he's a very clever, high IQ player,
yeah,
and I think he's one of them players that he can, if he watches how the game's going for the first 4 or 5 minutes, and then he checks in. That's when he's a lot more um, influential and stuff like that because he's seeing what the other team's doing, and then he's seeing what he needs to do to counteract it,
yeah,
and what the rest of his teammates need to do. And I think when he's in the starting lineup, it's he knows what his job is, but if it's not working, he can't seem to change it as such. Does that make sense?
yeah, yeah,
Um, so yeah, to me, his ideal role is coming off the bench, ideally in the backcourt.
Yes.
possibly at the 3 at a push.
2 or 3. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think ideally you need a shooter at 2.
Yeah.
And he's not that really. So I like him off the bench, like you say. I do like him off the bench, in at the 3, preferably. And I think from there he can operate quite well, both defensively, and it also still leaves that space open for a shooter at the 2.
Yeah. And look, I mean, if he can improve his offensive side of the game,
Mm.
i.e., shooting, then he's more than a 6th man, isn't he?
Mm.
Yeah, he's it's not MVP quite, I don't think, but you know what you're going to get with him defensively. And if he can then chip in 10, 12 points a night,
Yeah.
you've got an ideal role player there, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? It's just, dare I say it, potential point guard. So I don't know. I don't think he is a starting point guard. I didn't want him there last year, and I know a lot of fans did. But like I've just said, I personally think he's better off the bench.
Yeah. No, I agree with you completely. I always preferred him coming off the bench. I never particularly liked him on the starting lineup. He just has too good of a read on the game. And just like you said, if he has those few minutes at the start of a game to watch the game as it's settling down, get a read on it, he's capable of walking onto the floor, telling everybody where to be. I mean, we've seen him do it, telling everybody where to be and what to do to make a difference to the way it's been going up until that point. And like you say, I don't see any reason if he can improve his shooting, and we'll get into the shooting thing soon. But if he can improve his shooting, I don't see any reason why in a bench role, coming in as the first man up off the bench, why he couldn't be an ideal candidate not only for all defensive again next year, but 6 man.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's shown he can shoot. He showed it in that
Yeah,
playing game against Heat.
yeah,
What was he hit four of his threes, didn't he?
yeah.
That if even if he only hit 2, 3 a night, as well as giving what he does on the defensive end
Hmm.
and a couple of layups, and he occasionally gets his breakaway dunks as well, doesn't he? So
Does. Yeah,
I think 12 to 15 points is quite achievable for him on a night.
yeah.
However, you're going to get his big fat eggs and 5 steals, few assists,
1 point.
and it doesn't look good. Yeah, it just doesn't look good on the box score watches, does it? So
He's not a box score player. You can't judge
yeah,
him on his box score. He's
exactly.
just not that player.
So yeah, as you said about the shooting, and we'll get into that.
Mm.
Obviously, it's not been confirmed yet, but it's looking like Bulls are going to employ Peter Patton. That's how you say his surname, anyway.
Yeah.
Um, he was a shooting coach for Mavericks and Timberwolves, worked with players like Luca and Jalen Brunson, stuff like that. But that's not the role that he's going to be getting with Bulls when
No,
it's confirmed. He's going to be, is it director of player development or something like that? I
that's right.
think.
Yeah.
Um, and look, AK said they wanted to improve the shooting. Bulls fans have been crying out for a shooting coach for years and player development and stuff like that. And this is the first move?
Right. I mean,
Obviously, once it's confirmed.
yeah, exactly. Well, I think it's going to be though, by the sounds of things. But if you look at it, it's actually quite clever because that doesn't affect the cap space, right?
Yeah.
And that's obviously where we have a serious issue. And as we discussed, I think we discussed it on the last pod. Internal improvement is
Mhm.
going to be something that we're going to have to look at, whether we like it or whether we don't like it. We can't afford, as a franchise, we cannot afford to go out and get in players. The money just is not there unless they go into the tax. And we know That's not going to happen, right? So they're going to have to box a bit clever. And I think this is the first move that will be exactly that.
Yeah.
Bringing in somebody that can work on what we already have and maybe make a difference to one or two of the players that are just borderline between being an average shooter who shows up every now and then and being a consistent shooter who's there every night. You don't have to turn them into some, fantastic shooters. All we need is reliable shooters.
Yeah.
So that when the ball is kicked out to them, instead of feeling uncomfortable and passing the ball around again until the shot clock runs out, which we saw way too many times last season, they'll actually feel the confidence and be comfortable to put that ball straight in the air and hopefully, if things have improved, hit at least a fair percentage of those shots.
Yeah, and that's it. Obviously, when going back to the workout videos, there's one of Carlick Jones putting up 3-pointers one-handed because he's got his other arm in a cast. And you see the comments on like the IO workout videos and stuff like that of he needs to work on his 3-point shooting. I can't remember, like the people say it about Damar and stuff like that. And yeah, all right, it looks good watching Carlick Jones hitting them one-handed because you don't see that normally. But like with Caruso and Ayo, when you see them just standing in an empty gym hitting 3-point shots, that's not working on the shot, is it?
No.
They need people in front of them. They need people challenging them. It needs to be in a game or at least some semi-competitive environment, whether it's a pro run or whatever.
But even if they had, someone working with them, holding up a pad or a stick, something to shoot over, something so it gives that feeling of shooting where it's not just a wide open, take your time, doesn't really matter type of shot. You're at least feeling some sort of a challenge or something to shoot over or to shoot around or to create space before you get your shot off. Something. Wide open shooting from the arc, most professionals around the league, even Drummond, can hit them. No problem. As we've seen.
Yeah.
Saw Marco doing it when we were over in France. We were like, Marco can actually shoot the three, but you're talking about a wide open, no pressure shot, and they need some sort of a challenge, even if it's just a trainer, and hopefully a move like getting in a player development or improving on the player development and bringing in, someone who can work with people's shot correction, work with people's, just tweaking them enough, the shot, just to get it perfected enough that, like I say, that they are comfortable and they are competent, could make all the difference. And it could be a very, very clever way of moving forward with what we already have. However, I do have to throw the flip side on that and say, why the hell wasn't there one there all the time?
Yeah, that's an argument I think every Bulls fan's got in it. It's like going back to it again. I don't mean to, but it's all we've got at the minute. The workout videos.
Yeah.
You see the comments of, I want to see him doing this. I want to see him doing that. Why is an NBA player working on the handles? That should be part and parcel of the game. It doesn't matter what job you do. You have to keep doing it, if that makes sense. And you can always improve on it. Like my job, I'm a driver. Every so often, I mess up my reverse. I've been doing it 20 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I don't do it for 2 months, something like that, I can guarantee you I wouldn't be able to reverse the trailer where it needs to be. And you have to have the fundamentals there. Do you know what I mean? And you have to keep working on them,
right,
to be able to expand the rest of your game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it, and people saying, "No, well, Zach needs to get in there." He's a prime example, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? If a player doesn't work on his handles as a basic, it kind of impacts the rest of his game. So when you're watching the videos of Ayo just, doing his handles warm up, and then people saying, well, he needs to work on his 3-point shot. Do you not think that that hour that he's in the gym, he's done more than that 5-second clip of work on his handles? You know what I mean? So, and that's where the whole development comes into it, innit? And having the coaches, because they'll give them a set thing what they need to be working on. At the minute, well, obviously all these workout videos that we've seen, it isn't even the off season, or wasn't even the off season. They're doing it in the time that they've got where, yeah, you'd like to see them on the court. So you've got to credit them for that. And then when they eventually get back with the team, uh, back in August, start of September, and start doing team workouts,
Mhm.
then that's where the development's going to come in with the shooting.
Yeah.
You know, I dare say some of them even go back to Chicago if they're not in it already early to work with this coach, this Peter Patton early. Do you know what I mean?
I would think so. Yeah, I would expect there'd be at least a small few, if not more, that go back early just to work with them. I mean, it must be kind of exciting as well. Like, you know, you think about it. If you're working for a or playing for a team, and you've been kind of just doing your own thing during the summer months, and then coming up towards the game, you're working out with the head coach the whole time, and maybe the assistant coach here and there, and you're working on drills and you're working on this, that, and the next thing. Great. But imagine you finding out, oh, this year we've actually got somebody who's going to help me work on my shot, which, let's be straight about it, your shooting and being able to score is the fundamental
Mm.
of basketball, right? I mean, you score more baskets than the other team and you win, plain and simple. So to actually have somebody there in place now, they must kind of feel like, oh, I want to get in with this guy and work out with this guy and see, can he do anything to help me to elevate my game that little bit further? I mean,
Yeah,
I know, you know, not that I'm anywhere even close, but I know I'd be like that. I'd be like, I want to get in the gym with this guy straight away.
yeah. And it's the younger players, isn't it, that are probably going to be more excited. Dale and Terry, for example. You know,
Oh, for sure.
you see him working with Demar and Johnny Dribble too much.
Hmm.
And I mean, even in that video that I put around the weekend that comes obviously off Johnny Dribble too much, you can kind of see Dalen needs the work because even in that, his handles looked a little bit loose. Do you know what I mean? And but the thing is, he's got the mentality there to work on it. And I'd imagine he's one of the first back to Chicago to work with this new development staff. Do you know what I mean? And you got to give him credit for that. And I think Kobe will be the same if he resigns. He'll want to be there because he's already took his game to the next level
Yeah.
on his
Yes.
own back. So having a shooting coach there, and we know that he's a inconsistent shooter, shall we say?
Hmm.
I mean, he can hit them and he can go 0 of 9. You know what I mean? So if
Streaky.
he can add that bit to his game, that consistency on his three, put him out as the starting point guard. You know what I mean?
Oh, anyway.
But yeah, so obviously Peter Patton, welcome to Chicago welcome back to home to Chicago, should I say,
Right.
when you eventually come back. One more thing that was in my bulletin before we move on to the Matt versus Neill round two. Andre Drummond, as we
Hmm.
mentioned last week, he was on the I Am Athlete podcast. And then another part of it that went around, I mean, after that, I've listened to it anyway and forgot to mention it last week, but he obviously was at the start of the year, start of the season, he claimed that he was the best rebounder ever. Quite a claim. Love the confidence. And he's done it again on this podcast, actually forgetting himself how good he was. Because he said that he's led the NBA in rebounds per season or whatever it was for 3 years, and it's actually 4 that he's done it. So he doubted himself a little bit there. He was corrected by the host or the co-host, whatever it was. And then he did go into a little bit of a chant of TBE, obviously the best ever. And I mean, we spoke about it when he claimed it last year.
Right.
And obviously they put sort of stat in with it on the podcast as well. And I think, to me, you can't judge him until his career's over
Hmm.
because he's still potentially got what 5, 6 years, possibly, maybe more. Um, and obviously he's competing against or up there against players who retired 20, 30 years ago. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For that claim. Um, But a few stats that I did find, and it's kind of do depending which stats you want to read, they do kind of back him up
Right.
a little bit. And the one that was in the podcast was the total rebound percentage, and he was number one with 24.85. In second was Dennis Rodman with 23.44. So total rebound percentage, he is the best ever, if that's a stat you want to read.
Right.
Total rebounds is in 43rd with 9,963. And I think that put him third in active players, still behind LeBron and DeAndre Jordan.
Okay.
But again, they've played a lot more games than him, probably.
LeBron
LeBron's
definitely has anyway.
career's twice as long, and he's not that far behind him in terms of numbers. And then the last stat that I wrote down, rebounds per game, he at the minute is 13th overall in the NBA, but he is first amongst active players with 12.7, and it was Rudy Gobert with 11 something that was second.
Mhm.
So, like I say, depending on what stat you want to look at,
Right.
he is.
You can make them paint very different pictures, can't you?
Yeah, and that's why I'm not a big stat guy because, like I've just said there, depending which stat you look at, he is. You look at the next stat, he's not. He's 43rd. But that doesn't tell you how many games he's played, how many games number one played, how many games 27 played. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously it's different eras as well. You know, the
Mm.
game's completely different. But what I did say my sort of opinion on it was he's got a few more years left. Hopefully he gets a lot more minutes next year with Bulls. Because regardless, as he says in a lot of his Instagram posts, Dre gets bored.
Right.
And it's a big part of the game for us.
Hmm.
You know, as we've said before, he's a double machine off the bench,
He is.
even the minutes. And as we said last week, to me, he's one of the most entertaining players we've got.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people could say he needs to learn his role, which is rebounding, i.e., Dennis Rodman. But at the same time, do you not want to see him get his hands in the lane, get his steal on our 3 point line, go the length of the court, Euro step it, and either lay it up, slam it down, whatever? I know I do.
Yeah. I do too. I love seeing
Yeah. So it doesn't really answer the question on is he the best rebounder ever?
it.
But as it stands, rebounds per game, actively, he is.
Right.
So, and that is something that we have at Bulls.
Right.
And Billy needs to learn how to use it.
Which we've said many times before, that's the big problem. I mean, Dre comes with his issues and his chaos, as we've said before, but if he is utilized and that's honed in the correct way, which is on Billy, then he is a vital piece of this machine. And you know, if he's run properly and if he's played correctly, he I think he could be lethal for us. I really do. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and as we said a couple have said in the chat today, you put a reliable point guard with him,
Mm.
and he gets buckets as well.
Well, he does. I mean, he's great at collecting the oops, isn't he? So
Yeah,
you get someone who can throw them up there, a la Goran Dragic at the start of last season. If you've got a point guard who can put the ball in the right place, I mean, he's a machine. He's a beast. He's going to catch it and he's going to slam it down and he's going to scream about it and get us all very excited. So, you know, let's bring it on.
yeah,
More of that,
exactly.
please.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few more pieces, bits in the weekly bulletin. There was a Lonzo update in there. If anyone's not seen it,
Do you really want to
uh,
bring that up again?
I do because I mean, all right, the tweet didn't go viral, but it got a lot of attention,
Right.
and it was simply Lonzo update. He's had a fresh trim, and the attention that tweet got was just
mad, isn't it? The way it
I,
works.
I didn't understand it. I expected a lot of the negative comments on it. Don't get me wrong. Um, and even today, I mean, I put it up on, was it Saturday or Sunday?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's now Wednesday, and it's still getting bits of attention. And it's like, it was all tongue in cheek as well. Do you know what I mean? That's a bit I didn't understand, and that's why I don't understand social media. But like, it's Alonso update. He's had his haircut.
Right. Look, he had his haircut, and more importantly, he had Bulls jerseys in the background framed. So hopefully his head is still somewhere in the game, and who knows, some miracle might happen, and maybe with a fresh haircut might come a fresh pair of legs. We'll see. I wouldn't count on it though.
Yeah,
Too soon?
possibly.
Here at Sea Red UK, we have our ongoing partnership with Victory Sports UK. Victory Sports UK is a UK-based sports apparel and equipment store where you can get your NBA and other sporting goods. Get kitted out in your favourite team gear and rep your squad all summer long. And all Sea Red UK group members and followers can avail of a special discount code for 15% off their entire range, including products already on sale. Just make sure you're liking and following Sea Red UK on Twitter or become part of the Sea Red UK group on Facebook to receive your exclusive discount code upon request. Visit victorysportsuk.co.uk to seal your victory with Victory Sports UK. Go on and check it out. You know, it makes sense.
So, as I mentioned a bit before, we're going to do match or round 2 of Matt versus Neill.
Right.
You took game 1.
Yes.
I think a couple of weeks back.
Yeah.
So this is game 2 of the best of 7. I've had a bit more time to prep for it, but I'll let you explain the rules because once again you kind of took something and then twisted it to suit yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. But now hang on a minute before you say to suit myself. This may have been my little idea, but I have not had as much time to prep for it, even though this was my brainchild. And to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not as confident with this one as I was with the last one. So we'll see how it pans out. But before we get into that, we've to roll the dice on it, as it were, the wheel, and see who's going to be going first, which is quite important. And I'm going to try and do this on the screen.
So we can actually show people now.
Yeah, so apologies if this goes horribly wrong, but we'll try it. So here we go.
So this is for the first pick.
Come on.
Oh, where's surprise?
Get in. Right, so we can let that go away now. Right.
Not always a good thing, though.
It's not always a good thing because it means you get 2 picks and I only get 1 from the very start. But I suppose technically I get the important one. Right. So I'll explain the rules now that we've got that out of the way, right? So the rules are we're only doing 5, so we're only doing a starting 5. You can keep 2 of the current roster, trade 1, and who for. Now, in regards to the trade, this is the bit that I suppose takes the most explaining. In regards to the trade, it has to be at least semi-viable. I mean, obviously there'll be other pieces around it to make the finance of it work or to make the trade agreeable, you know, like you would put into a trade machine. But we're just talking about the main part of the trade, so player for player, rather than overcomplicating it with picks or additional players. But obviously that would need to be done to make it work, right? Okay, so that's
got to be realistic. You can't be Marco for Steph Curry.
Right, exactly. So it can't just be ludicrous. It has to be at least semi-viable, right?
Because obviously Bulls wouldn't
with
do
other
that.
pieces. Yeah. Okay. So also the next pick then has to be a draft. So a previous Bulls player that was drafted by the Bulls. And then the last one is an old player, as in a player that is currently still playing in the league, but played for the Bulls at some point. Okay, so keep 2, trade 1, draft 1, old one. So we're not doing 6-man, we're not doing a coach, just the starting 5. Yep. And I go first.
Yep.
Okay. So, right, what do I do? Well, I'm going to go for the trade. option. And I'm going to trade DeMar. And my trade options, which I wasn't expecting to get this so early on. I've got a good one, but it would be 2 players for him, and we're not really doing that. It's player for player. So I think I'm gonna go with Jaylen Brown. Some sort of a manufactured deal for Jaylen Brown around DeMar. So DeMar goes to Boston, we get Jaylen Brown, and that gives us our small forward. So I'm going to play him at small forward. 26 years old and shooting 36.5% from 3.
Right. You've thrown me now. So I get the 2 picks, don't I? So my first one, I will go with a keep.
Yeah, I thought you might.
And it's going to be Zach.
Yeah, that was the risk. I knew that was the risk.
Obviously, Zach at the 2. Right. So I can't trade DeMar now, can I?
Nope.
So he's off my thing. Right.
He's off your list now.
So I've got 3 teams wrote down and I've completely thrown myself. So I'll go with an old that's still active.
Go on.
Jimmy Butler.
Wow. Wow. I would never have expected you to pick Jimmy.
I didn't think
you can't sit there and slag him all year and then pick him for your team.
Hey, he got him to the finals.
It's a good choice.
Obviously he'll be at the 3. So
okay. That's an excellent choice. Right. Okay. So you've gone for Zach and Jimmy. That's going to be tough. Right. Okay. So I've got Jaylen Brown so far for DeMar, and I am going to play my old player, and it's going to be Thad at the 4.
I didn't have him on my list actually.
You didn't?
Oh.
Okay. So Thad Young.
He was your old option.
Thaddeus Johnson. Yeah, Young's my old. Okay. I have another choice, haven't I?
Yeah.
So I better keep somebody while I can. So I am going to keep Kobe.
Ooh. He was on my list.
Thought he might be.
Yeah, my list of keeps would be mainly be the bench players, to be fair. But right, I am gonna go for my keep. My second keep.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Vooch.
Oh, I didn't think you'd go for Vooch. Ouch. Right. Okay.
And that's my pick again, isn't it?
Yeah.
And my don't know what to do here.
Let's throw a dart at it.
Yeah, my draft. So the Bulls player drafted at the 4. I'm going P. Will.
Ooh. Bitch.
Bending the rules.
yeah. No, that works. That's perfectly within the rules. He was number 4 pick. Oh, I've lost my pen, so I can't write it down. Hang on. Right, okay. So I have 2 to go, right?
Yeah.
And I have done my old, my trade, and one of my keeps. So I think I'm getting desperate here, so I'm going to have to keep. What have I got left? I've got a draft and a keep, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna go with my draft next, actually, and I'm gonna go for Joakim. Number 5. And then my other keep is going to be. I really don't have enough shooting at all. And there's no shooting on that Bulls bench either. I'm going to have to go for AC at the 2.
Where you don't want him.
Where I don't want him. Himself and Jaylen Brown are interchangeable at 2 and 3.
Yeah. So it's my trade, isn't it? And it's a point guard.
Mm-hmm.
The one position I didn't have a trade wrote down for.
Brilliant. Backed you into a corner.
Yeah, and because you've took off a piece that I would have used as well. I am gonna put. I've screwed myself here.
I was hoping for another Reggie Miller type situation. I think I might have created it
here. Yeah, I'm trying to think of players that I've got available to trade for somebody.
Remember, it's got to at least be semi-viable.
Yeah, that's it, because Bulls have got no assets. I'm going to put D Rose there.
Right.
And it would be well, he's on a 15 mil contract, isn't he? So that they'd have to trade for. So it'd be a package that involved Io.
Okay.
DJJ. And Drummond.
Wow.
Whether Knicks would take that, I don't know. But you backed me into a corner. I was trying to think of viable targets that we've got and what pieces I've got left. But yeah,
because it's tough, isn't it?
Fred VanVleet was there.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Murray was there.
Yeah.
But I just haven't got anything that'd make it work.
Right.
Yeah, D Rose for a number of players.
Okay. So to go back over it again, just for people who are playing along at home and who want to decide whether it's going to be Matt or Neill that's victorious this time. My team is keep Kobe White at the 1, keep AC at the 2, trade DeMar in a package built around Jaylen Brown. The old player I would bring back is Thad Young at the 4, and the draft player I would bring back is Joakim Noah. Your team is at the 1, D Rose in a package consisting of Io, DJJ, Drummond, and however many other things you need to make it work. At the 2, you're keeping Zach. The old player that you're going to bring back is Jimmy Butler at the 3. P. Will, you're going to keep at the 4. Oh, no, P. Will was your draft at the 4, right?
Yeah.
And Vooch is your keep at the 5.
Yeah.
Very good. So that's it. It's out there now. We'll see who's going to win round 2. I think this one could be a tough decision for some and an easy decision for others, I think. But we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. We'll get you all to try and either even the keel or push me over by one more.
Yeah. Who knows? I might get the first pick next time as well.
You might do. And I swear to God, I haven't engineered this. That was live.
Yeah. Just on that, if anybody's got any other draft ideas, obviously you've seen how we do them. If you've got any draft ideas that you'd like to see us try and do, throw them our way.
Yeah, do. I mean, we have a few others lined up as well. But if something good comes in, we'll quite easily push those back another couple of goes and bring whatever you come up with.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's all I've got. So if you've got anything else?
I don't think I do.
As I say, from next week, things probably start getting a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
Conversation wise. We'll be back at some point next week. I think we're both at the minute planning on getting up for the draft, aren't we?
Yeah, that's the plan anyway.
So there'll be an episode before the draft because it's what, Friday morning for us, isn't it? The draft. So yeah, maybe middle of next week again we'll be back. After that, hopefully we'll have the content. Hopefully we'll have a trade of some sort, a draft pick of some sort.
Well, that would be great. Although I don't like the Pelicans sniffing around that number 3 pick. But I don't know if we've really got any way of getting that number 3 pick, realistically speaking. Anyway, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're more realistically gonna somehow end up with a second round pick or a late first round pick of some sort.
Yeah.
Who it is that gets traded for it, what the package looks like, I ain't got a clue. But I can't see us getting into that top 3.
And look, there's always a case of keeping the faith and hoping, because look at Joker, pick 41.
Exactly. And as I said when we spoke about the Nuggets, patience.
I mean, technically, for the most part at least, we have currently got the guy in place at the Bulls that started the ball rolling for the Nuggets, right? I'm not saying he put all the pieces in place, because he didn't, but he certainly kickstarted the whole thing for the Nuggets, and now he's here. We just need to, and this includes me, because I've not been too slow at kicking him as well. But maybe we just need to give him a bit more time. It's just time is hard to give, because that requires patience, and we all want to win now. We all want to see changes now, but hang on in there, and hopefully it'll all work out in the end.
Yeah. So that's it. As usual, I've been Matt. You can find me on Twitter at MattCRedUK. You can find us on all the socials at CRedUK. Obviously now on YouTube at CRedUK. And don't forget CRedUK.com for all our opinion pieces with more to come.
Yeah, and like we've said before, it's not just me and Matt that do writing on there. We have Brett and Sam writing on there. They've done some great pieces and more to follow. Some pieces that we're putting together, all of us as well, are in the pipeline. And we are open to any guest writers that want to write for us as well. Just hit us up and let us know if you want to get involved, and we'll work something out. In the meantime, you'll find me at Neill CRedUK on Twitter. And once again, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Do keep leaving the comments on all the socials, and we will keep interacting as much as we can. Remember to subscribe, both on audio and now on YouTube. Give us the 5-star review or the thumbs up, and to check out all the latest information, as Matt says, CRedUK.com is the one to go to. Until the next episode, wherever you are in the world, C-Red, go Bulls.
Percolator.